Hello, once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our virtual classroom. Today, we are going to be going over the area of a trapezoid, Now, these notes will be found on the same page on OneNote that you find the area of a triangle. However, we're focusing here on the bottom. If you haven't taken your notes, feel free to pause the video and copy it down. Please title it Area of Trapezoids. Hopefully more legible than what I have. So area of trapezoids. And before we actually get into the area of a trapezoid, let us recall what a trapezoid even is. So a trapezoid is a four-sided figure, a quadrilateral, and it is special because two of the sides will be parallel to one another, meaning there's one set of parallel lines. There is a pair of parallel lines. Two of the sides will be facing each other and they will be parallel. And parallel, again, ladies and gentlemen, means that if I were to extend these lines forever in either direction, they would never touch. That's how I know this is a trapezoid. The other two sides are not parallel. If we extend them out, they will either move further and further apart or eventually collide. And so that's what makes a trapezoid. And since we're talking about area, we are talking about the space inside the trapezoid. How many square units can fit inside the trapezoid? Whereas perimeter would be measuring the outside. That is not what we're doing today. Today we are trying to find the area of the trapezoid. And for the area, we need three things. We need the bases and we need the height. We need the bases and we need the height. Now, the bases of a trapezoid, as you can read down here, the bases are the parallel sides. Once you find the parallel sides, in fact, the first thing you want to do with a trapezoid is find the parallel sides, ladies and gentlemen. Those are your bases. So base 1 and base 2, or base 1 and base 2, doesn't matter. These are our bases. And the height, ladies and gentlemen, will be a straight line from one base to another, to the other, from one base to the other. And that line will be perpendicular. The length of that line is going to be the height, and that line must be perpendicular to the bases, okay? Meaning that it will meet the bases at a 90-degree angle. That is what perpendicular means. Now, before we go specifically into the area, I do want you to note that a trapezoid, the bases don't always have to be up and down. You might also find a trapezoid where the bases are actually on either side. Notice that on this trapezoid, our bases are here and here. These are the parallel sides. So that would be the bases, and my height would be from here to here. This would be our height. Again, a straight line that is perpendicular to my bases. So that would be the case for that trapezoid. So looking at the area of a trapezoid. The formula for the area of a trapezoid is that A area will equal, it's three things. It's going to be 1/2 times the sum of the bases, base 1 and base 2. Remember, it has two bases, the parallel sides, times the height. The height times the sum of the bases times 1/2. Now, you can also think of the area as this. Base 1 plus base 2 times the height, and all of that. Once you multiply that, you then divide by 2. Base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. All right. So let's just work it out. So let's figure out the area for this trapezoid. So again, the first thing you must do, ladies and gentlemen, is add the bases. Okay. First thing you must do is add the bases. And so let's figure out what our bases are. So here my bases are going to be 5 and 10. So it doesn't matter which is base 1 and base 2 because we are going to add them together. So that just means we add the bases together. So it's going to be 5 plus 10. All of that over 2 or divided by 2 times the height, and the height of this trapezoid is 4. All right. So again, the first thing that you must always do is add the bases when you're finding the area of a trapezoid. So go ahead and add the bases, and we are left with this. The area will equal 10 plus 5, which is 15 over 2 times the height, and the height is 4. Now, at this point, ladies and gentlemen, there's two different things that you can do. Number one, you can multiply the sum of the bases times the height, and then divide by 2. So we can do that over here. So 15 times 4 is 60. So we're left with 60 divided by 2, and 60 divided by 2 is 30. So the area of this trapezoid would be 30 centimeters squared, or you could first divide 15 by 2, and 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. Then multiply by the height, and that again will give you 30 centimeters squared. Notice that on either way that you do it, you're going to end up with the same answer. Again, as long as the first thing that you do is add the bases, as long as you add the bases first, so 5 plus 10, then you can either multiply the height then, so that would be 15 times 4, 60, and then divide by 2 is 30. Or after you add the bases 15, you can first divide. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, and then multiply. As long as you do both of those things, you should get the same answer. And so this, by the way, is number 1 from our assignment. So the answer to number 1 is 30 centimeters squared. That's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. The basis of the parallel sides. This is my formula. I add the bases, I multiply times the height, and divide by 2. Or add the bases, divide by 2, and then multiply by the height. You're going to get the same answer either way, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so with that in mind, let's go into our actual OneNote notebook, and we can see here that number 1, again, the answer to number 1 was 30 square centimeters. And similar to yesterday, if you got the right answer, you will find the right answer down here. If you get an answer, you do not find the answer down there, that means that you did something wrong. All right, moving on, let's try number 2. And for number 2, I want to encourage you to, in your notebook, to write down the formula first. Area is equal to base 1 plus base 2, in parentheses, over 2 times the height. So let's go ahead and fill some of these things in. So in this case, guys, in number 2, we can see that our bases, the sides that are parallel, are 9 and 16. So it's going to be 9 plus 16. Those are my bases. And my height is perpendicular to that. That's going to be 6. My height is going to be 6. All right, so let's go ahead and begin by adding the bases. Remember, number 1, you will always add the bases first, and 9 plus 16 is equal to 25. So I have 25 times the height, which is 6, and then divided by 2. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to multiply 25 times 6. Let's try it that way first. Okay, so 25 times 6 is 150. And so we're left with 150 divided by 2, which is equal to 70, and that is my area. My area is 70 square inches, or inches squared. If I do it the other way, we can do 25 divided by 2, which is 12.5. We're left with 12.5 times 6. And 12.5 times 6 is equal to 70, again, 70 inches squared. Either way, we get the same answer. Notice that that is one of my answer choices down. Oh, not 70, sorry, not 70, 75. My mistake. That should be 75. 150 divided by 2 is 75. This is also 75. Yes, I am so sorry. So the answer to number 2 is 75 square inches, or inches squared. Again, notice that I added the bases. Then I multiplied by the height times 6, and then I divided by 2. Or you add the bases. You always start by adding the bases. Then you divide by 2, which gave me 12.5. Multiply that by 6, it gave me 75 inches squared. Awesome. Not too bad. Now, let's suppose that we have one with decimals. So you can do number 3 on your own, but let's go ahead and do number 4. So again, my area is going to be the bases added. So my bases are 1. Remember, the sides that are parallel. So it's going to be 1.4 plus 3.2 divided by 2 times the height, which happens to be 1.6 times 1.6. All right, let's go ahead and add the bases. That is always my first step. So when I add the bases, I get 4.6, right? 1.4 plus 3.2, 4.6 over 2 times 1.6. All right, I'm actually going to divide this one by 2 first. I feel like that's going to be easier. That's going to give me 2.3. So I'm going to do 2.3 times 1.6, and that's going to give me the area. So let's work that out. 2 3/10 times 1 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 2 is 2. We're going to add everything together. We're going to get 8, 6, 3. We have 2 decimal places, so it'd be 3 and 68 square centimeters. 3 and 68 square centimeters, and I see that it is right here. Centimeters squared, we get the same answer, so the answer to number 4. Notice again, I added the bases. I multiplied by the height and divide by 2, or you add the bases, thank you, sir. Add the bases, divide by 2, and then multiply by the height, we get the same answer. All right, the last one that I want to do with you is number 6. Let's go ahead and do number 6. We'll do it in different colors. This is number 6. And I know if I'm going fast, guys, please rewind the video, slow it down, pause it before I actually do it. Notice that on number 6, again, the area is going to be base 1 plus base 2 over 2 times the height. Well, here, what is my base 1 and base 2? Remember, the bases, ladies and gentlemen, are the sides that are parallel to each other. So even though these are on the side, these two are parallel, these are my bases. So that means that base 1 plus base 2 is going to be 1.5 plus 2.5. Those are my bases. And as far as my height, that's going to be times 2.8 times 2.8. All right, so make sure that you add the heights, then multiply it by 2.8 and then divide by 2, or add the heights, divide by 2, and then multiply by 2.8, whatever you see seems easiest. Lastly, for number 7, 8, and 9, ladies and gentlemen, remember, when you look at the formula for the area of a trapezoid, all you need are the bases, so base 1 and base 2. You divide by 2, and you need the height. Notice that they give you both of the bases. Those are the parallel sides, and they give you the height. You have all the information that you need to answer each of those questions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that this wasn't too complicated. I hope that that was sufficient for you to be able to do the assignment on your own. And hopefully this video wasn't too long, and I will catch you next time.